folks, welcome back to NOLA Africa. This is Chris once again. Hey folks, welcome back to Chris Wyatt Africa on the NOLA Africa channel here on the NOLA Broadcasting Network, part of the Rugby Ascendant segment today, following through on our series of interviewing head coaches from Major League Rugby. My guest today is none other than Nate Osborne, head coach of the New Orleans Gold. There he is on the screen. Hey Nate, welcome to you. Pleasure to have you here. Got you on mute. I think we left you on mute there, if you could get that. Sorry about that.
Yeah, how are you, mate? Sorry about that. Thanks for having me on.
That's quite all right. Hey, listen, I don't know if you noticed, I wear rugby jerseys on every one of my shows. I don't know if you noticed what I'm wearing today.
Oh, so. Outstanding. That's the best Wallaby jersey there is, mate. I like that one.
Well, it's the only Wallaby jersey I'd be caught dead in. I'll just say that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Well, okay. I think I told you ahead of the tap before we went on that I'm a Springbok fan first, then an Eagles fan. So it's, sure. But people ask me, how can you be an American and not be an Eagles fan? Well, I am an Eagles fan, but you know, they didn't bother to come back with a national team until '84. So I was kind of stuck when I became a rugby fan. It wasn't a national team. Anyway,
fair enough.
And we'll get to that because you've been with the national team. But let's talk a little bit about yourself. You're from Australia, obviously. You keep saying mate, so I'm sure people picked up on that.
I know I say it too much, but yes, I am from Australia.
So whereabouts?
Queanbeyan, Australia. So it's a little country town just outside of Canberra.
Okay.
A lot of good rugby players come from there. Like David Campese, one of the greats. Mac Giddo's from there. One of the guys that we have on our team, Robbie Coleman, is a fly half from there as well. It's actually funny, Sam Windsor from the Houston Sabercats is from there as well. So there'll be three starting fly halves in the MLR this year, all from Queanbeyan, all from my little town, Matt Giddo, Robbie Coleman and Sam Windsor. So it's a great little town, little country town, and I guess there's nothing else to do but play rugby. So,
well, is it a farming town? Is it like a ranch town or something like that?
It kind of was. It started as that, and now it's kind of grown a fair bit more. It's getting closer and closer to Canberra. There's not as much farming and stuff like that going on anymore. There is a little bit on the outskirts, but when I grew up, it was farmers and that stuff. But it's kind of changing a little bit now.
All right, so it's not too far from the nation's capital then, actually, right? Real close to Canberra then. Okay,
yeah, cool. About half an hour out of Canberra, yeah.
Okay, and you say it's growing. It sounds like a megapolis now. It's spreading like all
these
big cities.
That way. Yeah, I think it was like 8,000 people when I was young, and now it's like 40, 50 is going that way. So it's, I haven't had a chance to be back for a while, but I know that when I talk to some of the guys from there, they say it's different. It's growing. Well,
that was what I was going to ask you next. The COVID has thrown a wrench in everything, and people can't get anywhere. Yeah. I haven't been to Africa in over a year now, which is weird for me. And so I mean, before COVID, did you get much chance to go back to Australia frequently, or just once a year, or what?
Yeah, I mean, we used to go every 2 years. So I'm married. The reason I'm here in America is because I'm married to an American girl. We got 4 daughters, so we used to go back every couple of years, and then my parents would come on the off year, and my brother and sister and stuff. And then since 2014, when I was with the Eagles, and then kind of jumping straight back into Major League Rugby for the whole time since it's been started, I've been down here. I haven't had a chance. I haven't been back since 2014. So wow. I really would like an opportunity to go back and see everybody and catch up with everybody. But it's been a fair while since I've been back.
Yeah, I was going to say we all need a break from COVID, but it sounds like you need one too to get back to Australia.
Mate, yeah, I would have loved to have gone this year, but the COVID hit, and you end up just chasing your tail through the off season. You think you got time off, and you just don't.
It's just not there. Well, I retired from active service in the Army in October 2019, and people always, when I get interviewed or people talk to me online, they're like, "Yeah, so how's retirement?" I'm like, retirement? What's that? I work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, it does seem like that. It seems like you get the odd day off, but it's a lot of recruiting, a lot of planning and stuff like that in the off season where you feel like you need a holiday, but you don't actually get one. So, yeah, but that's part of life. It's a great job. So
now, a lot of folks who aren't familiar with Major League Rugby or may not know about you may think that, hey, who's this oak? He just showed up here in the U.S. You've actually been in the States for a while. You came over here a while, as you said. You sort of I read an interview that was on DJ Coyle a few years back when you were first named the coach at NOLA. And you said you fell in love twice. You fell in love with an American, and then you fell in love with coaching rugby here in the U.S. So you've been here for quite a while now.
Yeah, I came over here to play in the old Super League for the Denver Barbarians in 2003 when I was like 23. I actually really enjoyed it. Went back and played in Canberra for a couple more years, and then decided I wanted to do it again. So 2000 and end of 5, early 6, I came over and just planned on being here for 3 months for another trip, and met met my wife, and just never went back. And so we ended up moving from there. We got married. She was just about to have our first daughter, Ella, and she's from Minnesota. So she goes, I'd like to go back to Minnesota. So I packed up and went up there as well. And I wasn't even going to play rugby anymore. I thought, I don't even know if there is rugby up here. The closest Super League team, Chicago, and I'm not going to drive 6 hours to play. And then after 2 weeks of living in a parent's basement, trying to find our feet in Minnesota where I knew nobody, I was like, I need to find a rugby team. So I got on the old Google and found Metropolis, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. I went down and joined Metropolis, and then from there played for a few years, and then took over as coach there as well. And it was amazing. Great club, great bunch of men. Found some really good friends, and fell in love with coaching.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So Metropolis was your first coaching experience, yes?
Yes. Yep.
But it may have also been your first experience in the U.S. with unusual accents. I mean, up there in Minnesota, yeah, for sure. They'll be eating a lutefisk, yeah. Well, that Trudy, she'd be coming over on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. That's how my wife sounds. She actually doesn't. But you
better hope she's not watching this one.
Yeah, I know. I just remembered that they probably will watch it, my girls and her, and she doesn't sound like she's beautiful. So, but I do give her a lot of crap about that accent and the way they say bag and bag and all this stuff. But
it really is different. I taught at Iowa State in Ames, Iowa, and I used to go to Minneapolis frequently. And that movie Fargo came out back at that time frame, and people are like, "Yeah, that's not how they speak in Minnesota." I'm like, "Are you serious? That's exactly, especially in Brainerd. Oh my gosh, it's crazy."
Yeah, the further north you go, the more they do. Definitely speak like that. But it's a great city. But the weather, the winter is horrendous.
That's what I was coming to next. Coming from around Canberra, from Queanbeyan to Minnesota. Yeah, that's a bit of a shocker when it comes to weather. Winter up there.
It definitely is. The first couple of years, I went like 3 months without letting like fresh air touch my skin because I was in the cold. So I would start my car in the morning with an electric start, and I'd shower and jump in my car, and from the garage to the garage downtown where I was working. And there'd be months where I wouldn't even let fresh air touch me because it was just way too cold. I don't like it. I didn't like it.
What, were you at risk of contracting scurvy from not getting any?
Yeah, they do have that whole thing where you have like that winter blues, or what do they call it? And you start to go a little bit yellow. And after a while, I kind of embraced it. Once we had the kids, and they like to skate and sled on the hill and stuff out the back of our house. So I slowly got used to it a little bit, but after being in New Orleans for the last 4 years, I don't know how I could go back to that cold. I mean, I was up there for Christmas, and it was like, oh, this is actually not too bad. And then Christmas morning, it was like a foot of snow, and I'm shoveling driveways trying to get us out to go over to the in-laws for Christmas. And I was just like, all right, what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, a few weeks back, because a lot of my audience is in Africa, South Africa, New Zealand. A lot of people watch the program and such. And so I was talking about, because I was out walking in snow recently, and it was -5. I wear shorts all the time. I just refuse to wear long pants. And they're like, oh my goodness, -5. I said, no, -5 Fahrenheit. That's more like -23 Celsius.
-40 on a good day in Minnesota.
Oh yeah, it's a bright sunny day in Minneapolis. Yeah.
The summers make up for it, because it is a great, all the lakes, 10,000 lakes, and spending time at the lake house, and swimming and skiing and all that stuff. You kind of forget, because it's so beautiful in the summer, and you're like, oh, this is amazing, and then all of a sudden it turns, and you go, oh, all right, I got to lock myself down for a couple of months here.
Well, but you're not there anymore. Now you're in New Orleans, and your family's with you. I take it there in New Orleans, so it's a very different environment. Now, I guess, I not to get into your family too much, but unless you want to talk about that, but I imagine that your wife is kind of thrilled that you are a rugby coach, since you have 4 daughters. I mean, you've got a built-in protection squad there for your daughters. Absolutely.
A funny story. We had my eldest daughter, then we had twins actually, like when she was 2. So we had back to back. We already had the 3 girls, and she got pregnant in towards the end of end of year 1. So coming into year 2, so we had this. She's at 18 months now. She's She's a beautiful little girl. But when we were going to find out what it was, my wife was like, "This is it. You want it to be a boy, right?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not." She goes, "What?" And I go, "I actually just really enjoy my life with the girls. I have 40 young idiots that I have to look after every day, and I would much rather come home and hang out with my girls than another bunch of idiot boys." So I'm a massive girl dad and believer in that. I'm supposed to have girls, so I enjoy it. Don't want a boy. I'm good. I'm good.
So just a quick disclaimer, Chris Wyatt Africa no way endorses the commentary regarding the players of the New Orleans Gold.
No, they know it. They know they are. I love them all, but they're idiots.
Well, speaking of that, I look over your roster. I had Kios Lensing on from the Seawolves. And you look at a lot of the rosters, Major League Rugby. There's been some big signings of international players that have come over to join the league. Of course, you just mentioned Matt Giddo. He just signed for LA. That's huge. We had Bostero with Rugby United in New York last year. Ben Foden is still at New York. Joe Peterson in San Diego. Lots of big names from overseas. But I look over your roster for the season, and wow, you've got one of the most U.S. centric squads. It looks like only a few players from overseas. Is that by design or just the way things worked out?
It's kind of a little bit mixture of both. We kind of always believe that that our foreign spots need to be people that can come and help us develop American talent. So that's why we got our foreign players are like Damien Stevens, the 9 from Namibia. So he's here and he's really helping out Holden Young at the American 9 as well. Then we got Robbie Coleman, who's Australian and helping out the young fly-offs, and JP Duplessis, Juan Capolero, Carl Meyer. So these guys are really unbelievable players and guys that fit really well into the community and fit with our design of making American rugby better. And that's one of the things we really wanted to do. And I think it was a goal of the league, and I think we've stuck by it, and I think we're better for it. I think some teams want to chase the foreigner and chase the big name foreigner, where we feel we can develop some American talent to down the line, really be great and win some games at a World Cup.
No, absolutely. I think that's brilliant. Big fan of JP Duplessis, by the way, so I mentioned that up front.
Unbelievable.
He's great.
What a man.
Great.
One of the greatest men ever made. A great player.
But you've also got Cam Dolan on the squad, yes?
We do, yep. So Cam, 51 caps with the US, so a lot of the young guys, especially the All-Americans coming out, grew up watching Cam and idolizing Cam. So to be in the same locker room with him and on the same field and listening to the way that he goes about his business, that really helps those young guys develop. And we've got some really good young back row talent this year with, Andrew Guerra, Devon Short, Monty Tongawea, Malcolm May. So we've got some really, really top-notch young American talent, and I think that they're really learning a lot from Cam and Kane Thompson as well, and all the forwards. Really, I think that's one of the goals that we had, and I think it's really working out really well for us down here.
Yeah, I was going to say that I look around the league. Not to make you feel old, but you're like I'm kind of one of the old men of the league at this point because you've been with NOLA since the beginning there. And it's going into the 4th season now. That's quite a long tenure. Coaches have come and gone other places, either for personal reasons or because they tried something different. But you've got some of the longest tenure in the league there. What's it feel like to be the old man of Major League Rugby?
It's great, mate. I love it down here. I wouldn't really want to be anywhere else. So our owner, Tim Falcon, is an amazing guy, and Ryan Fitzgerald, our general manager, is awesome. And we, when I first got down here, we set out a plan of where we wanted to be. And we're hitting all those goals, if not above them. So it's great. I love it down here, and I think it's really growing down here. And we've just moved into the stadium full time. So that's like I said, I'm sitting in my office. So I've got my own little office and meeting rooms and training rooms and gym and the field. So everything's just in one place, and the players are really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. To see where we've come in 4 years is amazing, and hopefully I'm here for another 4, or hopefully forever, but hopefully another 4 where I can see where it really goes.
No, it'd be pretty awesome to see. The league, we had pro rugby that popped up briefly for one season there, and I actually drove 6 hours to Ohio just to watch that last game in Denver against the Ohio team. It was pretty good, but the league folded up for various reasons. And then Major League Rugby came along, and I think a lot of us who are massively into rugby hope that this would be the professional league that we've been looking for. And I'd have to say, so far, as someone on outside the league, it seems to be the case. It started with some decent attendance in the first season that grew each season. And then one of the key things, which I've talked to people about forever, is that you have to have television. You've got to have contracts. And you've got CBS, you've got ESPN, you've got local contracts covering the league. And that's a really good sign. So with major networks covering the game, more people see it, and that will help grow the game. Do you think that plays a big role for Major League Rugby? Or
I think it's massive. Yes, I think you need to see it. Everyone always talks about, getting kids to start playing younger and things like that. I think, it's a double-edged sword a little bit that, kids will start playing when they start seeing it on TV and they start seeing these guys that they idolize, running around, and you can get, Cam Dolan posters and that sort of stuff. I think that's when kids will start to really get interested in it as well. We've done a really good job this off season of building like youth programs and things like that. So I see it growing. You also talk to a bunch of the boys who, like JP, for example, who just came down from San Diego, and he can't believe how much the city kind of embraced that. You just wear a NOLA gold something around and someone will mention it to you, or you'll be walking down the street and you'll see our logo all over the place. And I think it's one of those things where this is the year, especially being in the stadium and everyone knowing where we are, especially when it's on TV, that we're going to have some big attendance. And I think our youth program is going to just blow up from there.
Well, I think that's really a key point for this, and that's one of the criticisms I have of the South African Rugby Union is their focus isn't enough on youth, that they let other people develop the kids, not the union. But in our union here, I won't go into that, bankrupt, coming back from that, but so I won't go into that discussion, USA Rugby. But I think Major League Rugby, from what I've seen, has made a concerted effort to reach out to communities to build the game amongst youth, because I've seen you quoted before, and also many of us have talked about the fact that you really can't just count on people joining the sport leaving other sports because they didn't make it somewhere else or because they want to try something different. Like Perry Baker's a great player in sevens. He's an amazing rugby player, but he came over from NFL. Imagine if Perry Baker had been playing rugby at age 6. Oh my goodness, I mean, he's already the top guy in the world, but I mean, just imagine. And just play that out over a country of 330 million people. I think that Major League Rugby doing this youth activity really will make a difference. You see down the road this paying off for rugby in the U.S.?
I do. I really do, and I really believe it. It's part of probably why a small part of why I've, been here and am happy to stay here for forever, is because I see that happening, and I see that at a time there's going to be a pipeline all the way through to the gold. And I feel like, there's going to be more kids playing, and I see it already with kids getting out. But like I said, once we really blow up and become that legitimate major league sport in the USA, then I think people are going to start looking at it. I know you hear interviews all the time or read things about guys in the NFL that loved rugby more than football, and whether Juju Smith, or he's like, I would have picked rugby over football, but there's no avenue to it. So I think once you start getting those sort of athletes and those sort of guys that really love the game, then I think that the US is going to be better. And I think once they go to World Cup and win some games, and that again, it'll drive the youth to be going through. So it's a big circle of everybody doing their job. And I think Major League Rugby has probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest part to play right now, because we're the ones who are out there in the communities and we're the ones playing. And we don't take that lightly. So we really understand that we need to get out there and we need to really develop as many kids as we can so that we can get a pipeline and more people in the stands as well. That's a huge deal.
Well, you alluded to the Eagles, and the Eagles, as a national team, I think have tried to do a pretty good job, and got some great coaching that's taken place there, some great players. But we've had some tough breaks. I had Gary Gold on a couple weeks ago. We were talking about the 2019 World Cup. I was at the Eagles games there, 3 of the 4, and they played their hearts out against England. But that was a tough row to hoe. Then the French were wetting their nappies. I'm telling you, I was sitting around a bunch of French fans, and they were very quiet up to the 63rd minute of that game. And then Tonga, I thought we had that one in the bag. So it's a bit tough. But you mentioned about getting wins. The last World Cup we had was in 2011 in New Zealand against Russia. It's been a while. Now, you were part of the 2014 coaching staff with Mike Tolkien as a head coach. Cam Dolan was on that squad, wasn't he?
Cam was on that squad. Yep.
That you guys for that team that went to 2015, when you went to the World Cup in England, it was a tough pull for you too. Scotland is all over the place. Sometimes they're world beaters. Sometimes they're a team you can take down. You had Japan in the final. I was at that game, Eddie Jones actually came up the steps. I was sitting right in the middle of the pitch, and he came up the steps, and he just signed a contract with Western Province, and I'm a Stormers Western Province fan. So I said, "Hey, Eddie, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for signing Western Province. We appreciate it." What I did know is he'd already been contacted by England's rugby union and had signed with them. It was not going, but that was actually a pretty good game from a fan's perspective. We lost, I think it was 28-16 or something like that, or 18.
Yeah.
But what was it like for you in England, that World Cup experience as a coach?
It was amazing, mate. It was one of those dream come true moments. I know when you start playing rugby, when you're a young fella, you want to get that. Your dream is to go to a World Cup. Obviously, it's as a player, but then when you realise that you can't make it as a player, and I being there as a coach and being involved and in the meetings and all that sort of stuff, training sessions it was amazing. I learned a ton by doing that, and I thought, like you said, it was a pretty tough pool, and I think everyone at a World Cup, you obviously want to win games. I thought that we definitely played well in patches, and I think we even led Scotland at the 60th minute. We did some really good things. Japan was on fire that World Cup. We beat them actually in the lead up to the World Cup, and then they beat us in that. So yeah, it's really hard. It's disappointing when you don't win, obviously, but the experiences that you take out of it as a coach are amazing. I was kind of it's been like a rapid rise for me. So I started coaching Metropolis in 2011, and by 14, that's a club team, and by 14 I was at a World Cup. By 18 or 17, I was head coach of a professional team. So taking those lessons and learning those lessons has put me in the position where I am now, where I feel like I'm a way better coach now than I was at that World Cup. But without those lessons, I wouldn't be sitting here today, or I wouldn't be the coach that I am today. So yeah, it was hard and it was amazing at the same time. And I just look back at it as that it was a time when I learned so much, and that's what I appreciate and enjoy about it.
Well, Mike Tolkien's been around rugby in the U.S. for a long time, and as head coach there, did you get much learning lessons and working with him? Was that a good experience?
Yeah, Mike's awesome. Yeah, I learned a ton from Mike, and I actually still talk to him a lot. He's a great guy and a really good coach. And I think he was kind of a little hard done by, because I thought that we played really well, and it was kind of one of those things where I think we only, out of our 32-man squad, we had like 19 or 20 guys were amateurs. Mm-hmm. So you're running out against these teams like Scotland and South Africa with guys that are plumbers and school teachers, and expecting something different to happen, and they bust the guys win as hard as they possibly can, and you can't fault them for that. But now with Major League Rugby, and once it gets a few more years down the road, where everyone going into the squad is used to being in a daily training environment, is used to playing professional rugby, is used to the speed, mm-hmm. the fitness levels you need to be, all those things, the skills under pressure. I think it's going to be massive. So I feel a little sorry for Tolks, because he was kind of the last one to go to a World Cup without the full professional experience. But I thought he did an amazing job, and I really enjoyed learning from him and talking to him. And like I said, I still do. So he's a great dude.
Well, that's one of the shortcomings I've said about World Rugby is that you've some people don't like to hear the term minnows, others don't like to hear the term tiers, but we have to be honest. Yeah. There are different tiers of level of quality national sides, and you get tier 1, tier 2. And we have to be honest about that. One of the big challenges is that the tier 2 teams and the tier 3 never get to play except in the World Cup against these top flight teams. It's a pretty rare occasion. When's the last time USA played the Springboks? It's been a while, right? It's it
has. I think the World Cup would have been only at World Cups, I think. And my first so in 14 I took we went to an ARC, which is basically all the local guys. There's no professionals that come in for the Eagles. So I went to that tour, and we won all our games there against like Canada and Uruguay, I think the teams were. And then Mike said, we want to keep you on. You want to come to the full tour? And I'm like, perfect. And he's like, all right, first up, we got the All Blacks.
Was that the game at Soldier Field?
It was, yeah. And he goes, all right, so your first task as an Eagles coach is to tell us how we can attack the All Blacks. And I'm like, oh, easy, right? But again, it's those lessons that you learn. It's overwhelming at times, but when you sit there and you look and you come up with this plan and you fully believe that this is what you should do, but then the All Blacks, they're the All Blacks, and they kind of run us off the park. But from the back of that, you know, I really learned a lot of lessons about some of the things that they did as well, and some of the things that we implemented. And I think we went on to we beat Romania because we didn't have our pros at that point. They all went back, so we beat Romania, and we were one step away from beating Fiji as well. Shalom Suniola, who's one of the greatest men I know and unbelievable rugby player, he made a line break, and instead of just putting his head down and going for the corner and winning the game, he tried to pass back inside, and the fullback from Fiji took it the other way when we had 5 guys lining up to score this try. And, you know, it's like the inches of, you know, but again, you learn from that. And, you know, we got better and better, and growing into that World Cup, I thought we were in a really good spot. And I thought we ironed out a lot of things based on, you know, just learning lessons. And I think that's a big key. And I think the one thing that I enjoy more about being part of it, like NOLA Gold, like my own team, is that I have weeks and months, years to plan out how I want to do things and teach these guys how I want to do things and get feedback from them, and really get to a point where we're all on the same page. Where you're with the Eagles, you might get the guys for a week before you're on a tour. So, and they're all coming from different teams, they're all coming from different places, and they've got to try to all understand the one thing, and everyone does things a little differently. So it's hard to get that cohesion right. So yeah, that's probably the biggest like differences between, you know, doing a pro rugby team where that's your full-time job, and an international team where you don't get as much time with the players as you probably would like.
Yeah, that has to be a challenge. I mean, I watch the Springboks each time they bring a national side together, and they have a short camp, but you're bringing guys that are playing Japan, guys that are playing in Ireland, in France, right, in the UK, and now in Major League Rugby, bringing them all together, and a few that play in New Zealand with Mitre, but not so many. But you bring them from all over the world, different coaching styles, different emphasis on different teams, and suddenly you just got to bring them all together. And they may be world-class athletes, but that's a world-class headache and challenge to mold that into a team.
It definitely is. And I even see it with the guys that come in here a little bit. But like I said, I get more time to break them, I guess, and get them to understand the way we want to do it. But you see when they first come out here, and it's just natural for them to do the things that they're used to. Mm-hmm. And there's some of it's great, and some of it's like, keep doing that. That's great. And some of it's like, I don't want to do that. I want to do it this way. And that's just what we're going to do. So, the national team is challenging for that, for sure.
And you mentioned, of course, going back to Mike Tolkien in the 2015, and when you were with the team, the challenge back then for the tier 2 and below nations was that most of your players are amateurs. They play in clubs, or they just pick up games. They're not getting paid a salary somewhere. And it's the same thing with countries like Namibia. Namibia plays its heart out, but they just got guys that are, you know, cattle ranchers, you know, and plumbers and carpenters, and they come together, and next thing you know, they're playing the Springboks or England. And that's a tough thing. But with Major League Rugby, I suspect that, as we've talked about here, as we get down the road, we're going to see the possibility for the U.S. I've already predicted 2035 USA wins the Rugby World Cup. I've already been telling people that.
Love it.
No doubt about it.
I think it's definitely doable. I think with just the standard of MLR over the last 4 years, how much better it's getting.
Yeah.
And the American players that are coming through, and the young guys, I think it's very doable. You know, I think even by the next World Cup, we should be firing and at least be able to win some games. And then the one after that was at 27. We should be getting closer. Yeah, 35. I'll jump on with you. I agree. We'll win 35. America will win it.
Well, and I, you know, you can see it already. I went to DC Old Glory's their exhibition games in their first season there. They put people on the pitch, and they played Scotland's under-19s, and they looked pretty they didn't look so good, but I've already seen after they got into their first season already the improvement just from when they first brought a team together. But I mean, literally, if I wanted to go try out for DC, I could have. I mean, in my 50s, I could have got down there, got on the pitch, you know, and tried out. But I don't have the speed anymore for the wing like I once had. But
and you see it across the league. I think everyone's better, and I think, you know, it's great. I mean, I think every year we feel like we're better than the year before. Mm-hmm. and that's great. And I think every team feels that way, which is what makes this league so great. It's very unpredictable. There's no real runaway leaders. I know, people have their favorites. They say like Toronto and San Diego and those teams. But, I mean, we've been 1 5-meter line out away from beating San Diego twice in the last 2 years. And we just, for some reason, we can't get them. But we also beat Toronto both times. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you can never predict those things. I mean, we scored a last-minute try after the siren to beat Austin, who were 0-16, and we were at the top of the ladder at that point. So it's the parity in the league is awesome. The players that are coming into the league are awesome, and the standard of rugby is getting better and better. And that's what makes it amazing. I think the MLR.
Absolutely. Folks, you're listening to Chris Wyatt Africa here on YouTube today and platform. And my special feature guest is none other than Nate Osborne, head coach of New Orleans Gold, the Major League Rugby franchise known as NOLA down there in New Orleans. Nolans. I got to say it correctly, Nolans. Speaking of Nolans, Brett Sessoms gave a super chat and he said, New Orleans Gold has plenty of hometown New Orleans talent. Is that in fact the case? I don't know. I mean, are any of these players actually from the area that are on your squad?
We do have a couple. Like Cam Falcon is a good player. He's from here. We've got a young lock named William Wagonsback who's from here, who's going to be a really great player. He's a lot of the talent coming through from New Orleans is there's kind of a gap. So they had a really good team and they were like national champs, and then all those guys retired. They're all like 35, 36, and then there's all these young guys that are starting to come through now that actually started playing when they were in high school, and now they're just finishing college. Jack Webster, who we got out of LSU this year, he's going to be a great player as well. We do have a lot of young, good players, and they're going to really come to the fore in the next couple of years, especially being in the environment and learning off these guys like I've told you about. Cam Trox is here. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head all the local guys, but a lot of like good young local talent for sure. There's some young talent that's really good. No one that I can think of that's really already in that spot where they're a full-time starter. But definitely there's a lot of guys that in the next couple of years will be in that position, and that's a great thing.
Well, let's shift to the 2021 Major League Rugby season. This is the 4th season now for Major League Rugby, and I'm looking over your schedule here, and it looks a little bit favorable early on, but then they're mean to you at the end. You've got 4 of your first 6 games are at home, but your last 6 games are on the road. You open up against Old Glory, then you've got Rooney and Austin, the New England Free Jacks, who surprised me last year. They came out like gangbusters. I was really impressed by their performance. And Rugby Atlanta, they also came out quite well in Toronto. So there aren't really many, I would say, easy games on your schedule, unless I've read this wrong, because it looks like a tough one. But what's your thoughts on that? Obviously, playing those early games in New Orleans where it's not, minus 37 like Minneapolis is probably an advantage, because Toronto is kind of a disadvantage to try to have early home games. But that should put you in good stead. But what are your thoughts on this? I mean, it's going to be a challenge, because if you look at NOLA the last couple of years, and you guys have traditionally done really well early in the season, but then you've not finished strong. And is that a consequence of the season being too long or being on the road too much?
No, a lot of it injuries. And the depth of our squad, where this year we feel really, really good about the depth of our squad. It's one of the things we really worked on. So like bringing a guy like JP Duplessis in means that, you've got guys like Ross Depperschmidt and those guys that can step right in, and like the depth of our squad is really deep now. We lost Ben Tarr, our tight head prop, and we lost Kyle Bailey, our second row, and we lost Scott Gale, our 10, towards the end of that year 2, and we really struggled to make up with the depth, I think, and being on the road a bit hurts as well. But I mean, in a normal year, I probably would have kicked back at the league and said, absolutely not. We don't want to travel 6 weeks in a row at the end of the year. But in a year like with the COVID and understanding that we're trying to help the league as much as we're trying to help ourselves, I was fine with it. I just was like, we got to do what we got to do. But then on the flip side, most of the guys will agree that they'd rather play in snow than the 110-degree heat down here in July. So it's kind of when it gets the heat down here gets ridiculous. So it's kind of yeah, we're okay with it because we don't want to we don't want to play in the 110-degree heat. But yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. And like you just said, when you went through that schedule, that's not just picking out teams. That's just what it is. Every game's hard, and every game's a new week, and you got to prepare for it. There's no easy games in the MLR, and it is a long schedule, 16 weeks, and especially now that they've thrown in this nice curveball of having COVID around. It's everything so unpredictable in your week. You could lose a player or two or three just by testing positive. So we've got to be prepared, and that's one of the things that we looked at. We really built a deep squad, and one of the things we talk about as a squad is that it's going to take a squad to win it. So if you're not in the first 23 on the first week, it doesn't mean you're not going to be playing in the final at the end. Just hang in there.
So there's hope. Maybe I should get my cleats out because people getting pulled out for COVID. There might be an opening on the left wing somewhere in Major League Rugby this year.
It might be, mate. You never know. We feel pretty comfortable that we've got everything covered, but again, you never know. Like the last couple of years, we've had to bring guys in from out of the squad to fill some roster spots. Even last year, 4 games in, we had a young kid from Minneapolis who I knew. Trace Bolstead is an unbelievable player. He came in and backed up our 9 when Holden was out for a few weeks. So yeah, you just never really know. We feel pretty comfortable about. We've got a little bit deeper and bigger squad this year than we usually would carry, but that's all because of that reason. And a lot of those guys will be getting a lot of time with the local team as well, so they're still playing some rugby.
Now, you guys play at. Are you still playing at a baseball field in New Orleans?
Yeah, so we actually just took over the stadium completely. So we're in here full time, and we've turned it into a rugby stadium. It's not a baseball stadium anymore. That's over. We've taken down the fence.
Okay. I'm going to call you on that one. How are you going to make it a rugby stadium? Are they going to put bleachers and stands around the whole field, or
No, mate. It's actually amazing the way it lays out. I don't know if you've seen a picture of it. I can send you a picture of it.
Please do, because the only pictures I have of it is a baseball field, and that Rooney plays on a baseball field too. And it's,
no.
Like, oh gosh.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. It looks amazing. If you turned up for the first time, you'd be like, you wouldn't even know it's a baseball stadium. Like, they've done an amazing job. The way that the field fits in, it's all grass, beautiful green grass, and yeah, we don't even need to really put stands on one side or anything. It just, the way it lays in there perfectly. It's the perfect spot for us, and so we're out here full time now. So this is our home now. It used to be called the Shrine on Airline, but we changed it to the Gold Mine. So it's the Gold Mine now. And so everybody knows around town that, the Gold Mine's here, and there's signs up everywhere. And it's amazing to turn up to a facility like this every day. All the boys and me who were here from the start, we started at, training on Gretna Park and, using the old rugby pub as our clubhouse that we turned into offices and meeting rooms and stuff. But it was great for the first game. Played at Shaw High School, and to go from that into this has been, like I said, in 4 years has been amazing. And every time I pull up in the morning, I feel really lucky that I get to call this place our home.
No, I think
I will shoot a picture of it. It looks amazing.
Well, the thing is that the CRC, the Collegiate Rugby Championship for Sevens, takes place in Chester, Philadelphia, PA every year. Last year it didn't happen, of course, because of COVID, but I usually go and cover that. It's in New Orleans this year. They've moved it.
Yep. They were down here last week, I think, to check it out, and they all agree. They think it's amazing. This is amazing rugby facility. So it's not even considered a baseball field anymore. It's a rugby facility, and I will get a picture for you so you can see it and show it, because it really is amazing to me. It's not. We've played at a few baseball stadiums. I know Houston did the first year, and they tried to jam this field into the stadium. Rooney's had lines going everywhere, and it was turf and not really great turf.
Every game I saw Peaches get up with freaking turf burn, and I'm like, I feel bad for that guy, because I've gotten turf burn by playing American football and that stuff. It's horrible. It's that was really awkward. Plus, where I was going to go is that some of these stadiums are not particularly accessible for folks. Like Rooney at Coney Island, it was hard for people to get to. And then you see also Old Glory was at Cardinal Stadium, Catholic University in D.C. Not the easiest place to get to in D.C. Now they're going to be in Virginia, and you guys. Is it easy for folks to get to your stadium, or is accessibility a problem?
No, it's actually really easy. We're about 10 minutes from downtown New Orleans. And like I said, it's right in between the airport and the city. It's huge parking lot, really easy to get to, really easy to find. So yeah, I think in my opinion, it's the best rugby facility, even with Houston's is beautiful. Glendale obviously had a really good one. Don't really need to talk about them anymore. And then, just with everything that it's got, with the locker rooms and the offices here, the meeting rooms, the treatment rooms, the gym, to me, it's the best rugby facility in the USA, and our general manager keeps saying it's the best rugby facility in the world. So it's somewhere in between. I just sent you a picture of it,
okay.
So you'll be able to see. And we're really excited that we're in here, and I think that people who come to the game, New Orleans has a really special way of having a good time all the time. So we have a place called the Party Shack, which is a little spot over by the side of the field, and while we warm up in in our half, they do a second line with a band for all the fans, and all the fans follow along the dead ball line and get to wave at the players and call out to the players and see the guys up close as they walk to their seats. So it's really a fun atmosphere to play in, and the boys really enjoy it. And it's growing every week. It was getting bigger and bigger, and I think this is the year that we really blow it out of the water and really put ourselves on the map in New Orleans as a professional organization.
Now, speaking of New Orleans, I don't know if it was a strategic decision or a result of COVID, but we see, of course, Major League Rugby season has shifted a bit. Instead of starting late January and February, it's moved to the end of March, which has impacts in many different ways, maybe for the better, maybe challenges. But I don't know if that was because of COVID or just a strategic decision. But the bottom line is this: maybe that's good for NOLA. I mean, if you're coming together as a squad in January, you have Fasching or Carnival that takes place, Mardi Gras that takes place, and of course New Orleans. That was my question with Bourbon Street and all the distractions in New Orleans. Is that a challenge for you? You did mention you've got some, I don't know, my word, not yours, maybe some knuckleheads you've got to deal with. Is that, as a coach, is New Orleans a distraction for your team? Is it something you have to deal with?
No, it's definitely not, actually.
Really?
And it's crazy to think, but me as a coach and the players, we embrace the times that we can do stuff like that. So when Mardi Gras is on, it wasn't on this year because of COVID, but in times past, we go down and march in a parade and spend the day down there in Mardi Gras. And, it's free for all, like have some beers and have some fun and meet the locals and really enjoy what the city has to offer. And I think doing that allows the boys to, let their hair down and have some fun and enjoy it and embrace it. But also know that they don't do that on an everyday week, So, it's surprising. People ask me this all the time, but we've got a really good group of guys, and they're really involved, and they know that this is their job. And we talk about all the time that this is the best job in the world. You get paid to play rugby, you get paid to coach rugby. It's amazing. Like, you could be digging holes right now, and it doesn't take much to be back digging holes. So it's up to you if you want to do that, but know what the consequences are. But we also have a lot of time and fun together as well. One of the things about New Orleans, the team, like our team culture is amazing. So the boys hold themselves accountable to each other. And when there's times that we allowed to do things, then, we go 100 miles an hour at it and have fun. And then it's back to business. So it really hasn't been a problem for us. So that's a great thing. Hopefully in the future, it isn't a problem for us, but, the boys are great. I think it's a testament to them, because it is easy, especially as a young man, to want to go out and do and see those sort of things. But they're all good. We're all good down here. We're good.
Well, that kind of lends into something else that's, when I prophesize the sport of rugby all over the world, but especially here in the U.S., and I tell people about the game, I said, one of the nice endearing qualities of rugby is that by and large the players are approachable. They're not prima donnas. This isn't like not to pick on him, but he is a bit of a prima donna, Ronaldo, that plays and guys like that. It's not like football or American football or baseball or any of these other sports. I mean, national sides. I mean, I was at Saracens was playing here in the U.S. Against Newcastle in Philadelphia. And I went down, and Skulk Berger was sitting right there. And I'm like, hey, Skulk, how's it going? He's like, hey. We just started talking while he's sitting there on the bench, and just very approachable. I mean, and I've never experienced any rugby players that are aloof or unfriendly. Is that your thoughts about the game? You feel the same way?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a great game for that. And I think the fans are kind of shocked that they get to meet these guys and see these guys and have conversations with these guys. Pre-COVID, we'd finish the game and all the players would walk around the fence and, talk to everybody and thank everybody for coming. And then we'd have our after-match function with the other team and all the fans were allowed to come. So it's one of those things where, you had a bunch of fans that are coming over and taking pictures and talking, to their favorite players. And they don't, in every other sport in America, you don't get that opportunity. And I think that's something that rugby has and something that rugby needs to keep, because I think it's a big deal. And anytime any of our guys get asked to do anything, whether it's radio, TV, appearance, or go coach a local team, whatever it is, they're always up for it and they always really enjoy it. And I guess it's when you're a professional athlete, sometimes that's a cool thing when you got people coming up to you and wanting to take your photo and wanting your signature and wanting to have a chat to you about who you are and that sort of stuff. So I think we enjoy that and we embrace that, and it's something that we need to keep, in my opinion. We, with COVID this year, I don't know what we're going to do, and they haven't decided yet. But in the future, once it goes away, we'll get back to it where we'll never be a team that doesn't talk to their fans or be open to anything that we can do to help out in the community.
Well, speaking of approachable and things like that, the Philadelphia Flyers just made their tickets available because they're allowed to have fans now. The cheapest ticket I could find was $180 for one that Boeing 737s fly lower than where I would have been seated. So by comparison, New Orleans $20 for a ticket. That's quite a bargain.
Yeah, I'm going to say 160 for a season ticket. And I just actually did a radio commercial the other day, and I mentioned that in my commercial. I was like, for the you can come to a season, you can get a season ticket for the price of every other pro sports one game. So, value for money. And also it's a really fun family event. My girls love coming. There's a lot of kids in the stands. It's a cheap way to take your family and have fun and watch this amazing sport.
Okay, so now here's the next question. You mentioned your kids again. So let me, are you paying it forward? Have you pushed or forced your girls into rugby? Are they playing rugby?
they do a little bit. They do a little bit, and they love it. And actually, just on my desk now, I got some kids' balls that I need to blow up, because today is the day that we have Thursday off. So today's the day after this that I go home and we go to the park and do some passing and do some rugby, and then the youth program starts back up here the Monday after the DC game. So they'll be jumping into that. And, they love it and they want to learn about it and they want to do it. Like I said, there's just not that much youth going around. Yep. But now with what we're doing down here, that they'll definitely be into it and playing. And I think they're really looking forward to it.
No, I just asked because, we're looking at legacy there. Want them to have a legacy. So,
well, yeah, I keep saying that my plan for their college is they become really good and I take over a university team and give them scholarships. But
I think that's called nepotism. I'm just saying.
My wife doesn't agree with it, but I'm like, it's a good plan. In my opinion, it's a good plan.
Oh, it's a brilliant plan, especially if you got 4 kids that got to go to university.
Exactly. Just be good at rugby for a couple of years. You don't have to play all the time, but I'll give you a scholarship and then you can come play. Hopefully.
Absolutely. No.
Hopefully I don't get that, but
no, I raised the topic because you mentioned you have girls, and a lot of people don't realize that women and girls play rugby, and it's quite a great sport. I've been to the 2014 Women's Rugby World Cup in Paris and 2017 in Ireland, and the quality is great. And USA, our women's Eagles are fantastic. They're a top 4, top 5 team in 15s.
They're amazing, yeah.
And in 7s, they're at the same level. They do quite an amazing job. Chris Thomas, Naya Tapper, what a great squad. Alev Kelter, really, really talented stuff. And I should think that since it's not particularly well known in the country, that if your girls have any talent, they could be future Eagles.
For sure, 100%. I agree, and I think that the women's Eagles team is unbelievable. Some of those. So one of our players, Kavika Pinata, he's actually from Minneapolis. His girlfriend is Katana, who's the starting fly half for the Eagles, and she was down here with him for a couple, weeks, and I talked to her a lot about rugby and things like that, and watching games and stuff, and then seeing her doing some skills and stuff, I'm like, man, she's an amazing talent, and I think, being in Minneapolis, there was a lot of those girls up there that, are great rugby players that play for the Eagles. So you get an opportunity to see them play a lot and hang out with them. And I mean, I'd love for my girls to be Eagles one day. I think they're amazing. And I think they play great rugby as well, and they are, one of the top teams in the world, which is amazing as well.
No, absolutely. So you've intentionally or otherwise seem to have this predilection for rocking up in spots of America with unique accents. So you were in Minneapolis. Sure. We've already talked about that. Of course, New Orleans, there's some very distinct accents down there too, especially amongst the Cajuns,
Cajuns.
So
I know, crazy. I understand a word of man.
Exactly. Well, neither do we. They're just Canadians who fled. That's who they are.
Exactly. I love their accent. I love it. I love talking to them.
But I know that you want to stay in New Orleans for a while. You're loving it down there. But I'm just going to suggest that if you have to move, I'm guessing New England's the next spot. Because if you're looking for distinct accents, that's going to be another location you go for distinct accents in America.
Well, they do have one up there too, for sure.
And as far as the accents, what's it like for you there in New Orleans? I mean, obviously you talk to people. Does anyone do a double take? Are you Crocodile Dundee?
They do. I know. I feel like my accent's kind of fading. I've been here for 15, 16 years.
Honestly, as far as an Aussie accent goes, it's not as strong as a lot of your fellow countrymen. It
used to be really strong, and now it's kind of fading. So I'll hear my voice back and go, oh man, it's fading. It's not as strong as it used to be. But for most Americans, it's still pretty strong. And I have a real hard time still at drive-throughs if I have to get some where I generally just order the number one wherever I am because that's the only thing they can understand, or I get really angry and just end up going, I'll come to the window and just chat to you. So it's, I still have that. So, I mean, I've still got a little bit of an accent, and I definitely don't want to lose it. I'm a proud Australian, but I also love America and everything that it's given me.
Well, the thing is, English, we're separated by a common language.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
No,
exactly.
The COVID must have been especially difficult for you when it comes to eating. I mean, you can't go in restaurants anymore. So if you can only talk in the drive-through, you're stuck with the same food all the time.
It was rough, mate. I didn't like lockdown. I don't mind being at home once in a while when I choose to be at home, not when I get forced to be at home. But it was great. I mean, it gave me an opportunity to spend a lot more time with my girls, which was amazing because, life as a coach is pretty busy and on the road a bit and those sort of things. So it gave me an opportunity to really spend a lot of time with my girls, which was awesome. And also gave me a chance to really sit back and evaluate and reevaluate myself as a coach and how I can get better and things that I can improve on. And it gave me an opportunity to, really revamp what we're doing down here. And I think the boys are really enjoying that, especially the guys that have been around for a while, enjoying, the revamp of, the way that we want to be known and the way we play. We always been a pretty fast team and we move the ball and all that sort of things. But I think, over this time we've come up with some really good strategies. And I thought we had a trial match last week against Houston. And I thought we played really, really well, especially for the first time that most guys have played in a year. I thought we came out and we were, physical in the areas we needed to be. Our set piece was good, and I thought we, our structures were really good as well. So, we're moving in the right direction. So I enjoyed COVID for a bit because it gave me opportunity to do some of those things.
Well, perversely, that was actually one of the few benefits of what was happening is that a lot of people got to spend time with their families. Of course,
For sure.
in some dysfunctional families, that wasn't a good thing, but in a healthy family, that was a good thing. So, but what I did want to ask you, and you kind of segued, and before we wrap up here, is that with all this time off, I mean, I was talking to Gary Gold. I mean, he's got a heck of a challenge. Not only does he have a national side, he has to bring players from all over the world back to form a squad to play a test match, but a lot of these guys haven't even been playing. So you've got that dynamic too. So what's it sounds like you're feeling pretty confident and good about what's going on. But I mean, the two major concerns with such a long layoff and what's been happening is, number one, rusty players, or maybe, well, three really. Rusty, maybe some guys got a little bit out of shape because they didn't keep up. And then the third one is I think a very serious concern is injuries. If you haven't had contact for a while, people coming back in, there's a real risk of injuries. Do you guys have concerns about those issues?
We did. And so we made sure that everyone was firing on the fitness. We're actually in a really good spot fitness wise. I think we're, our test scores and all the things we're doing are better than they've ever been. So I think guys took the opportunity to get themselves in shape and keep themselves in shape, which was amazing. Injuries for sure. We've got a few guys, just that banged up a little bit because of the contact from last week. But one of the good things that we did down here when I talked about making our squad deeper is we really have, two and a half teams of players that I believe can play MLR, and a lot of guys that won't even be in the 23 the first week have actually played MLR. So we had some really good hit outs against each other. And a lot of our training sessions, at least once a week, we'd go like 15 on 15 and just get into each other and do it at a high pace and try and see the way that we want to play and change some things up as we're going along, and also on both sides of the ball, defense and attack. So I feel like we're in a really good place. I feel like we, as a team, have been able to really come together and put together a lot of things that we wanted to in a longer period of time. So I think we're sitting for week one. We're jumping out of our skins to get out there and give it to DC again.
Well, speaking of DC, you guys open at home against them, but you're up here on June 12th in DC to play them. I do intend to go to the DC home games this season. I'm going to bounce between Rooney and DC because I'm kind of in between the two of them. And Rooney's difficult for me at Coney Island because it's $50 in tolls, it's 4 hours of driving, and it's
and it's
you
better to jump on a plane and come down here, mate.
Yeah, no, but I don't know if I'll get to New Orleans, but because the CRC's down there, I'm considering it my first ever trip. I've lived everywhere in the country, all over, but I've never been to New Orleans, so this might be the year I get down there. So if you get up, if I get to DC and you get up here, perhaps we get a chance to link up again. I could do an on-the-field interview and touch base and see how your season's going and see how it's going.
100%. I'm looking forward to playing DC. I think they're gonna be better as well. I got a lot of time for Andrew Douglas and the way he coaches and who he is as a man. I really like him. And they came down here last year, and I think we shocked them a little bit. I think we beat them 43-12.
Yeah.
And then they got better and better as the year went on. And I think they've circled that as a game that they need to get down here and prove some stuff to some people. And we're ready for them because we can't wait. We want to prove that who we are as well. So.
Well, I think that first game out of the gate is important for everybody. No one wants to start the season 0-1 on the log, and if you get that first one on your belt, it really builds confidence, and I think that makes a big difference. Yeah. So just as we're wrapping up here, so Nate, any last thoughts about the 2021 season, or encouragement for people to come out and watch the game or watch it on TV?
Mate, I'm actually really excited about it. Like I said, it's been a year since we played rugby, so we're going ahead. The 2021 season is going, so it might be a little bit different, but I think that the brand of rugby and the style of rugby and the games themselves will be way, way advanced to what they were in the last couple of years. And I think that's a good thing. To people in New Orleans that want to come to a game, I encourage them to come and at least check out one, because once you come once, you won't want to not come anymore, because it is fast, physical, and family friendly, in my opinion. And that's what makes it such a great sport.
Yeah, I went to a club game at Ohio University as a freshman in September of 1982.
Okay.
And I've never looked back. Rugby's always been in my heart ever since then. It's just once you see it, you got to be part of it, or at least watch it. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we have a lot of people that will come once and then they'll end up being season ticket holders because they can't believe how fun it is and they can't believe how fast it is. I guess it's kind of like the NFL. Like I didn't think it was a good game. And then I went to a game and watched how big and fast they were. And I always thought that the quarterback just threw it and they catch a ball. It's not that big a deal. But when you see how far and fast they throw the ball and how fast those guys are, you get a new appreciation for the game. And I think rugby is the same. You see it on TV and the camera angles and stuff. You don't realize how hard and fast people are hitting each other and how good some of these guys are. And when you come to an actual game, you see it up close and you can see the whole field, and it's amazing. People get amazed by what the guys put their bodies through every week.
Well, in rugby, I think for a lot of people not familiar with the game, rugby is a game that I keep telling people that, coaching is important in every sport. But I think coaching can make all the difference in the world when it comes to rugby. And I think great examples of that. Listen, Stuart Lancaster's a great coach, but England wasn't going anywhere in that 2015 when they bombed out of the World Cup. Eddie Jones came in, and Eddie Jones, they went on an 18-game, undefeated streak. Basically the same squad, only a few changes in personnel, and turned it around. And we see the same thing. Look what Rossi Erasmus did with the Springboks, bringing them together and took them to the World Cup. So a coach can make all the difference. And so clearly the ownership is happy with their coaching in New Orleans, and wishing you the best of seasons this year. You got a tough log to fight your way through. But those last 6 games on the road, man, that last one's at Rooney. So maybe I'll see you there as well, up there in New York.
We cover the country from that. We go like DC and then Rooney, Toronto, I think over to Seattle. Like we're going all over the country in that last 6 weeks. So I think it's one of those things where we just have to do it. It is what it is now. We just got to buy in. It's going to be hard, but we're ready.
One final question, and this one is just I asked this of Keith Lensing as well. With the alignment of conferences, is that something you look forward to as a fan? We look forward to it because we want to see a rivalry develop. And if you're going to have a rivalry, who's your natural rival? Is it Austin? Is it Atlanta? Is it someone else? Do you have a rival already?
Yeah, I hate all the teams, so they're all my rival. But I think we've had a pretty good Atlanta's getting up there with us because we do. Everyone likes to beat Atlanta in New Orleans, so the fans really push the Atlanta one more than we do. But I can see Atlanta. I don't like them very much. Houston's the one that we've probably played the most. So all the way from year one, they were so close. We played them twice in the preseason, twice in the season. Then we play them every preseason. And then again, a couple, during the season. So Houston is definitely, a rival for us. And just maybe because it's been since day one, they were the first team we ever played. But Atlanta's catching up, and Rooney, San Diego. I know the boys say San Diego because they really want to beat San Diego. We've been close. We just can't quite get there. I'm sure the Canadians think Toronto, but I hate everyone, mate. So we're good. Everyone's everyone.
But is it Houston? Don't they have almost the same colors for their jerseys?
They do. We wear a lot of
confusing.
We wear a lot of white. We're like white and gold.
Yeah.
This is the first year we've had anything with black. These hoodies.
That's by the way, that's brilliant. I've got Utah jerseys. I've got Rooney jerseys, but I do not have a NOLA. I might have to buy that. That's pretty awesome looking.
Yeah. So we do have. It's the first year we put some black in, but. I love our gear and the way that they the logos and things that they put on everything. And you see, like I said, you see them around town a lot because they sell a lot of gear. And the Mardi Gras jerseys, I don't think they can keep them in stock. Every time they come in, they're out the door. So, Houston's probably it, mate. Now you're talking about the same colors. Roll with Houston.
I've lit a flame on the rivalry.
Let's get it going.
All right. Well, Nate Osborne, thanks a bunch. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been fantastic. You're welcome back on the program anytime, and hopefully we'll check in with you and see how your progress goes this season. Best of luck this season. Yeah, you got a challenge, and maybe a bit of an advantage because sports fans in America are starved to go to events and. Anything right now, I think badminton could probably draw a crowd. So maybe this might be a good year to grow the audiences at the pitches. So good luck for that and have a great season, Nate. And thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, cool beans. I'll let you drop off and I'll close up my stream here. Let me do this.
Awesome, man. Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot, Nate. Appreciate it.
See you, mate.
All right, I'll just wait for him to drop off there. All right, folks. That was Nate Osborne, head coach of NOLA from Major League Rugby, an Australian by birth, and someone who clearly has a great affinity for the United States. Great affection for his family there, you can see, and quite a fair amount of affection for his squad as well. Pretty exciting stuff to hear how he feels about the game of rugby. And this might be the year. Let's see. Major League Rugby has done progressively better each season. And maybe this season, with COVID hopefully starting to fade behind us, we might see Major League Rugby having a breakout season. You can catch it on television on CBS here in the U.S. or ESPN and some local networks as well. Overseas, I'm not really sure how you watch it, but I'm sure there's a mechanism to watch it overseas. And that's increasingly important for people who follow Major League Rugby because so many international players have signed. We mentioned Matt Giddo from Australia has come over here and playing for Los Angeles. Ben Foden for Rugby United New York. Joe Peterson for San Diego Legion. Lots of international players here. Bostro played last season. And, of course, Tendai Mtawarira was with DC last year. So a lot of big names. And people around the world want to watch their favorite players who come to the U.S. and see how they're doing. But anyway, my many thanks to my special featured guest today, Nate Osborne. It was a pleasure having you on. I hope that you do have a good season. And I am serious. I'm going to have to get one of those New Orleans gold jackets now. Go straight to the Major League Rugby site and check out and see if that kit's available. Anyway, thanks a lot, folks. I appreciate you all tuning in. It's been a pleasure having everyone here. There will be a Night Owls edition today. I'll do that a little bit later on. I'm not sold on whether I'll do a news of the day yet, but probably just the Night Owls. And thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you here next time on Chris Wyatt Africa. This was part of our Rugby Ascendant feature, our segment. We've now had Kiers Lansing, head coach of Seattle Seawolves. We've also had now Nate Osborne trying to get a few other folks on the program. But next week and midweek, Dolan Stanford will be with me to have a preview for the Major League Rugby 2021 season. So tune in for that, folks. Yes, Olaf, you are a bit late. You can go back and watch it from the beginning, though. Thank you very much for that. Anyway, rugby fans, I hope you enjoyed this. And pay attention and notice that rugby is a big deal in the U.S. It is a big deal. A lot of people don't realize that, but it really is. Can we get some likes on the way out the door? We still got a good 30 people hung around towards the end there. If you could give us a like on the way out the door, really appreciate it. Thank you, Brett, for the super chat. Thank you, everybody, for watching it. And I'll catch you on Night Owls. Thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen. And that is it for today. Let me make sure I got everything shut off properly here. There we go. All right. Have a lovely day, folks.